Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So Nationals for the US just closed, and as soon as it was over, I put my daughter to bed so I can immediately jump on and start recording for you guys. I am super excited to get into this. We're going to show the top 4 decks and one honorable mention, but before we do that, I do want to go back and throw back to a clip from my Nationals prediction video before we get started. You know, we've got decks like Digimon with Classic Collection coming out. You know, we've got Vang probably going to be running it, more than likely. Probably going to take first place of Nationals. Calling it now. I hate to do it, but I think it's going to be Gobubons. Now, I think it's going to be Gobubons with a twist. Probably something we haven't seen before. Don't forget, our memory marker for the month of February is going to be the Egg of Friendship. So if you're excited for this format to be over and moving on to some different formats, we got some exciting stuff coming up with some armor evolutions here. We got Rikirimon's Egg of Friendship. This is so great for any kind of armor evolution deck that you might be excited for, or even some Pyldramon and Pyrodramon decks. A great memory marker for that. Also, if you want any of our previous memory markers we've had on the channel, check the coffee link in the description below. There you can get access to all the previous memory markers we've featured on the channel. The benefit, though, of going through Patreon is you get the featured memory marker of the month for usually a much better deal. Okay, so that being said, I do want to go ahead and give my honorable mention, and that is to Vang himself. I did say that he thought he was going to take it. He didn't play Digimon. That's probably why he didn't. But really, he did take Agubons all the way to the final table, the top table of Swiss. Okay, so made it to the final round of Swiss, battling it out for first place, and then did lose, unfortunately, there, and then dropped out in the top 8 of Final Cut. But I do want to give him an honorable mention just because he took Agubons, right? Another one of those underrated decks. And during the match, one of the commenters even made a comment that Huang Zero, who was commentating, doing a phenomenal job, by the way, him and Eggman both absolutely wonderful commentators. But the comment was made that Huang was like really like hyping up Vang and not really being, you know, one-sided to it. I see where he's coming from, though. As YouTubers, we've all done it. To Vang specifically, he is a phenomenal player, but what makes him kind of separates himself from others is that he takes these decks, these underrated decks, and performs extremely well with them, just in the face of all odds. So I do have his deck profile here just so everyone can see it. I'm not really going to go over it because it wasn't one of the top 4, but I did want to at least throw it up there for you guys. But he's just a very humble player. I played him one time. It was either in a regional or an Evo Cup, and came to a draw at the end of it. But he's just one of those players that doesn't fidget a whole lot, doesn't act like he's irritated at you when you're playing. He's just a really humble person, and so we need more players like that in the community. So there's a reason that so many YouTubers kind of harp on him so much and talk him up, and that's just because he's one of those like really down-to-earth kind of players, and that's what we like to see. And so of course we're going to talk him up. Just a couple quick notes though of some crazy stuff just like off the wall on this list. The Betamon right here, so no memory blocker, but then also the Terriermon, like one of each. That was kind of interesting. The Gravity Crush was super spicy, and seeing that was just really great. Only 3 Bond of Bravery. Wow, just what a crazy list of all this different stuff, all these like wild tech choices, and the Mechanorimon, things like that. Very, very spicy. But the reason we're here is to look at the top 4 decks, and right here we have our national champion. And already right off the bat, we're not going to go card by card. A lot of this stuff is like, it's Gobubons. Okay, like what are you really looking at? Some of the stuff we haven't seen a whole lot, but was surprisingly very heavily played in a lot of these topping decks. One of them was the Octopus here, Octomon. So 2 Evo, 7,000 DP. I talked about it way in the beginning of the format, but security checks are going to check into a whole lot of relatively low DP thresholds. So if you go get in the mirror match, look at all these other DPs. They're all super low. You have 4 copies right here, 4 copies, 4 Digimon in this whole deck that he'll die to in security. That is it. Okay. that's it. So one of the things, just jumping over here, Dan Vangs, Greymon. I hyped up this Greymon security attack +1. You throw in the promo Agumon underneath him, that puts him at 7,000 DP, 2 security checks. I harped on that so much. If you're gonna play red, this was a great tech for red, and that kind of also bleeds over into the Octomon here. That 7,000 DP. You can swing into multiple security, and at worst, you lose a level 4. Like, it's not that big a deal. Also, the Ikakumon here from EX1 with the main ability, no inheritable, of course, because we're not playing really level 5s here. Your turn, this Digimon can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with no Digivolution cards. Blue hates memory blockers. You throw a memory blocker down, and like that crushes their hopes and dreams. So this Ikakumon was super spicy. Really liked it. Speaking of super spicy, though, I said the deck that won was going to be a Gabumons deck, right? But only if it had some really spicy tech, something we hadn't really seen before. The Ikakumon is definitely part of it. The Octomon also very, very spicy, but really the card that literally won it, if you saw the final match, it was this Forbidden Trident. This was such a game-winning card. Like, it could have gone back either way, and then this card came out, and it was like, oh, nope, game's over. That's it. So main, one of your Digimon gets plus 2,000 DP, and when attacking, return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand. Trash all the remaining sources. Played the Trident, the Forbidden Trident, 1 cost, super cheap. Played it on a Kendo Garurumon, who already has that same ability. So also that 2,000 DP was huge. So swung over, I think it was another Kendo Garurumon on field. So swung over it with that buff, and then bounced 2 Gabumon back to hand with its own effect and the Forbidden Trident here. So cleared the whole opponent's field with 1 swing, and that was it. The opponent had fully committed. They were about to go full on bonds the next turn and just completely go off and probably have a comeback of like tremendous proportions. But that Kendo Garurumon with that Forbidden Trident cleared the whole field, and then at that point the player just could not come back from that. So that's literally incredible play right there for sure. We did see a tremendous amount of ice walls in that second deck here. Again, all those ice walls did trigger. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing here was what we were just seeing. The Ikakumon, very, very solid tech. Clears out those memory blockers and anything else. I mean, those Gabumons that they might promote up, a turn too early, clear those off before they can warp evolve on you. Like, pretty spicy include for sure. Also running the Octomon, same principle, that 7,000 DP, very, very good. This one was running the Tamer Searcher at a 3 of. I think 4 is too many. I still stand by that. 4 of this one is too many. 2 is okay. If 3 is what I run, but I definitely see an argument for 2. I was super surprised that this one here had none though. Just the draw one, the one you want to warp on top of, and then this one here. This is the one where if you can't draw into your pieces, you digivolve like an Octomon is a great target, or the Ikakumon. Those are great targets for this Gabumon here, but does serve as a backup choice if you need to warp on top of it. But looking at this one, while yes, it did make it to the finals and it had a little bit of spice, the one that won was clearly the more spicy of them. So, like I said, it wasn't going to be a straightforward Gabumon deck that was going to win. It's going to be something that had some uniqueness to it, and I think that's definitely hit the nail on the head. But let's get into the more interesting, I would say, of the builds here. This thing is all out of order. Let's just do a quick level sort of that. This is one of the Lilith players. This is the Mastemon version. Okay, Mastemon, Lilithmon. Pretty interesting stuff. A whole lot of it is pretty straightforward. We got lots of drawing, discarding, running the full Genkakumon package though, like really going hard on this. So you bring out that promote and you can throw these guys underneath it, and you can do some really, really nice plays with that. So that was pretty cool to see this full package incorporated with it. Running the Mastemon, I think, was a really big surprise. I get it though. It makes sense because you don't want to hit into a lot of these security. Between the security control, which we had 2 in top 8, you know, you don't want to deal with that. So Mastemon's a good way to deal with security control. But also blue. Blue has all those option cards that you hit in security, and they're just devastating. All those gain 2 option cards, 4 Hammer Sparks, 4 Ice Walls. That's a lot of memory gaining and ending your turn early. So Mastemon kind of getting around that. One of the spicy ones that we did see was a decent amount of program emergency halt. Your opponent can't use option cards until the end of their next turn. Now, this does not include security options. Security options will still trigger. But even besides that, it's still so good. No ice walls. I mean, dang, right there, already worth it. Your opponent can't play ice wall on you. Sweet, awesome. But even just besides that, I mean, you play this against security control, and that almost kills their whole turn. I mean, they can still hard play some like security Digimon and get some other value, but still just a really, really good card. Also turning off like, you know, the blue memory boost, the howling memory boost, all those. They can't get the delay effects. Really good stuff. Also in the mirror match, being able to prevent your opponent from Mega Digimon Fusion, yeah, a really, really cool card. The win rate 60% and the Mega Digimon Fusion. Wow, okay. That bit of a surprise, but you know, I see it. Mastemon is a big 04 Evo cost. Reducing it down works, and it also works on the Zwart if you don't have the Mega Digimon Fusion. So, okay. You know, it works. So yeah, just, and then like the one of blocker, really, the 2 Rebellion, we've seen this guy put in a lot of work lately. Only the 1 Skull Greymon, I mean the Skull Greymon, Vilemon, Labramon combo, I've talked about it 1,000 times, super good. Okay, interesting. And then the other purple Lilith loop deck that we saw was kind of like a Titamon variant. Again, we see the full package of the Genkakumon right here. Not entirely full, but I mean pretty close to it. Promote is just phenomenal. Anytime you get to play out free level 4s, or you know, play the promote itself for free with the Zwart, you know, you're gonna see tons and tons of value. You can get really aggro with this deck. We see the, you know, the Manoa here for your memory fixer. Memory fixers are pretty good. The analog youth just sets up the trash so fast. We saw these analog youths just getting like slammed down so fast, turn after turn in a lot of these matches, and just, you know, it fills up the trash so fast. You're gonna put 2 cards in trash every time you play one of these and get something of use at the same time. The Impmon, the one of Impmon was a bit of a interesting take. I wonder how that like worked out for him. I didn't see it have any big impact in the match that I saw, but maybe. And then the 3-level Lilithmon, the Titamon, you know, that works. If you're gonna run the Genkakumon package here, sure. I mean, I definitely see the value of running Titamon over Mastemon, simply just for this one Evo line right here. Makes Titamon, you know, worth running at that point. Went with a one of Devimon blocker here instead of the Vilemon. Okay. Definitely these one of blockers I think is a very interesting. Anytime you have a one of, you really kind of mess with your consistency, I would say. Like, you're not going to see a one of every single game. It's just not going to happen. Even in a very stally kind of deck like purple can be. 3 Rebellion though, like that Rebellion's putting in some work. Retaliation blocker, 7,000 DP. So I mean, even with Jesmon deleting it, which we didn't see any Jesmon in, I don't think, the whole top 16. I know it wasn't in the top 8. Wow. I mean, mind blown for sure. But so it's a really good tech call against that, as well as a good tech call against other things. So pretty awesome stuff here for sure. Just really wild decks, honestly. I think that's the best part of this, is all the top 4. Yeah, we saw, I mean, we were seeing Lilith Loop. Lilith Loop is incredibly powerful. We know it's incredibly powerful because Mega Digimon Fusion is the first card in existence that got banned. So that should tell you how powerful this deck is. But the variant is something that I don't think we've seen a whole lot of. Same with the Mexico Nationals, was a whole lot of like one-ofs in their deck. You know, really low counts, but a nice diverse spread. I brought that up a ton of times in the past of, instead of like maxing out 4 copies, I've been big on, you know, spread thin and go wide with a whole bunch of different choices so you can always be able to handle the situation. And that's definitely what these guys were doing here with these purple decks. A lot of these like one-ofs, like these interesting tech calls, tech choices, just for those odd situations. So really, really cool Lilith decks. And then even the Bonds. Like, yeah, everyone hates Bonds. Bonds is, you know, like the next Lord Nightmon. It's very simple, okay? I think that's the thing, is that anybody can pick up this deck and do pretty well with it. But if a good player picks it up, they can do extremely well with it. So I would say the entry point is really high in how well you will do, but the ceiling does go pretty high as well with it. As we've seen, you know, it definitely does some pretty phenomenal work, especially when you get interesting with it. You know, when you do some interesting choices, and that's what really kind of makes this whole game so exciting, is you can take a deck that's the best deck, right, and make it better. Make it your own. Do things, think outside the box, and you think outside the box in this game, and it will benefit you pretty much every single time. I said it way back when that Black Garurumon deck did amazing, okay, and it just blew the whole meta scene apart out of nowhere, because someone was willing to be thinking outside the box, and it benefited them so drastically that, you know, they won. Okay, it was a regional, right? They won a whole regional or an Evo Cup, one of them, because they thought outside the box, and they didn't just play like everybody else and just net decked and just did copy and paste. You know, they really made it their own. And I think as soon as more players catch on to that, the better. I know as a YouTuber, and I make tons of deck profiles, you know, I do that for a base, and then you build upon that base. So I'm not trying to like hurt myself in saying that, oh, don't watch YouTube videos. No, like use that as a base, and then like take other people's ideas and then build upon it. And that's what makes good players great players.